Classes begin and Harry's magical journey gets serious and a little dangerous. But what if HBO explores the deeper tension between Snape and Harry? Episode 5, Lessons in Magic and Rivalry. Let's break down episode 5. The secret behind Professor Quirrell, a proper look at Hogwarts magical classes. This is the first real look at what Hogwarts students go through on a daily basis. In the movie, we get just a quick montage, but the book gives us a lot. Transfiguration with McGonagall, Charms with Professor Flitwick, Herbology with Professor Sprout, Defense Against the Dark Arts with Professor Quirrell, full of garlic and stuttering. The HBO should and could give each of these lessons room to breathe, and then that will let the audience kind of feel like we're really in school with Harry. So I think it's time we talk about the elephant in the room, in the classroom, Severus Snape. We need to see more about him circling Harry and like kind of how he's almost a snake, kind of like looking around to see, The movie gives us a cold, sarcastic lecture, but the book version is much richer. Snape ignores Hermione's raised hand and he kind of targets Harry right away. What would I get? I can't do what I get if I added powdered root of asphodel. He does like a bit of a, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? I don't know what that was, but that's many fans believe this line is secretly like referencing Lily Potter, but HBO could expand on this. Maybe even Snape watching Harry from the shadows, tortured by his memories, like little flashbacks while he's in the back corner, like kind of one of those that it'd be interesting. Just play on that fact that his parents are bullying Snape. Also in the class, it's kind of where we get that sense of where we think Quirrell might not be what he seems, like with the turban being on or off and all of that kind of scenario. I think in the classroom, it's a nice scene. I enjoyed how they laid it out. There could be a little bit more tension around Snape and Harry because they're like a bit of rivalry that turns out to be friendship or like helping and all sorts of foreshadowing going on. I should say spoilers before that, shouldn't I? But yeah, that was an interesting class. But also I think the flying lesson is a nice one as well. The broomsticks lifting off. Hopefully we get a lot more in the first one you can tell where they use, like in the movies, it looks like a cartoon basically. And is laid between real life acting and cartoons. Maybe now we've got the technology where we can make it a little bit better. But that first flight is very good, showing Harry and how good he can fly. The little tension between Neville and the Remember-All and the ball, and then chasing around, and McGonagall kind of finding out who did that, and all that scene is quite a bit of tension, like the first mistake of school kind of idea. The best part is McGonagall seeing it and doesn't punish him and kind of finds him and takes him, and then we get a little bit of a flying. Everyone's told to keep their brooms on the ground, but obviously Harry's got a bit of a rebellious streak where he goes after Draco, and then there's like that whole pursuit, and McGonagall seeing him but then not punishing him. I liked all of that setup. It's nice. I think also when McGonagall takes him away and the whole class thing, oh, he's in big trouble, but she's actually taking him to Oliver, and then mentioning about you were looking for a seeker and the Quidditch. And I don't know how I feel about Quidditch. I'm not too into the sports side of it, but do we expand on Quidditch? Let me know in the comments. Would you want like a full-blown like a football, almost theatrical Quidditch game with loads of like angles and stuff? I'm not really into it, but it might be something you really liked about the movies. In the book, McGonagall pulls Harry out of class and introduces him to Oliver, the Gryffindor Quidditch captain. I found you a seeker. The moment sets Harry apart, so he's like kind of being lifted out, but in the movies he's kind of like more taken there after McGonagall's seen him riding the broom quite well. So I think maybe there's something we can do, build a bit of anticipation about Quidditch and the match to come. What do you think? You have to let me know. The ghosts of Hogwarts lore. Nearly headless Nick floating through the wall. The bloody Baron gliding silently behind him. Should the ghosts have more screen time? To be honest, so I'm not too much of a fan of giving the ghosts too much time. I feel like there's loads of other key scenes that we could spend time elaborating on. So maybe the ghosts get their like got screen time, but I don't know if they need to have such a deep story. It could build on the fact that there's a lot of history in Hogwarts and things, but I don't know. It's like a tricky one. Sometimes I feel like, oh yeah, I'd like to hear more about that. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, there's other stories that they missed out which would be more interesting. So what would that be? So the book explains how each house has a ghost. Okay, I'm in with that. So like, for example, nearly headless Nick for Gryffindor, the bloody Baron for Slytherin, the fat friar for Hufflepuff, the grey lady for Ravenclaw. So these are quite good because later on we may need some of these for help and advice from like history. But the spirits give insights into each house's history and the tragedies tied to Hogwarts. So I think it's important we get some screen time and more elaboration. So yes, we need to know about them a little bit more than what the film did, but they don't need full blown out like scene. They need scenes, but they don't need full blown out storylines. Maybe they could come in and out maybe in certain spots. So overall, I like this element of it, and I feel like Snape's potion speech could be more elaborated on, like subtle references to Lily. That was interesting. And maybe more reactions about like the classes, the student reactions to like seeing magic and the awe and the confusion. That would be more interesting to pull us in and show that magic is like different, is more intense than what Harry used to live. Dursley's Privet Drive is a big transition to that. I also think now that he's out of school, we could see more expanded flashbacks, like the Marauders map. There's loads of magical stuff, like also Quirrell and Voldemort meeting flashbacks would be nice. Day-to-day life in the school and how lessons are done, like going to and from classes. More about the food and like the dormitories and the paintings and all of this. There's more that could be elaborated on. If we've got enough episodes, we should be able to expand on that. I think it's very important the style and structure of each of the episodes and how they interlace each scene to the next. It'd be like nice to have that fading transition between different things. Like in the movie, they do that nice scene transition from like different seasons, but different seasons as in weather seasons, like winter to summer and spring, and the birds and the Hogwarts backdrop, castle backdrop. I think there's lots of character development there, loads of things we can touch on. I think also there's other little things, Herbology and how they learn the devil's snare, things that come in use later on, like kind of preempting those and giving us the little teasers that would lead to us knowing why certain people knew that and others didn't, who paid attention, who didn't. And it'd also be nice to see the house rivalries, like the slight thing about Draco versus Harry, the Slytherin versus Gryffindor. That would be nice to expand on. Something there would be good. Let me know in the comments, how do you think it would be a nice scene to portray that in like a nice way? I love reading your comments, so let me know what the breakdown of that would be and how I could envision that, because when I read your comments I kind of take my mind there and I envision that scene happening. So when the HBO does actually release this episode, it'll be interesting to see the deeper interactions between Snape and Harry, the full classroom scenes and what they end up being, the ghosts, the more breakdown about the ghosts, the true weight of McGonagall's choice to make Harry a seeker, setting him as a heroic path. I know I mentioned in episode 1 having like the flashback as the starting of the scene of the Wizarding World's War, but if that isn't happening, maybe now would be a good time in this episode to have flashbacks to that so we can see how things have come to what it is now, understanding like the villains and who is good and who is bad and who is evil. So what I have done is I've come to an episode now where I'm thinking I'm at episode 5 and we're only just doing lessons. So Harry Potter, if you think about the film, we are like, you know, there's a lot more left to do. So I may continue my episodes to the number of episodes I think it should have been. They're only doing 8. I don't think there should be 8. I think there should be more. So let me know how you feel about that. Should I continue on my theory of how many episodes there should be? Or should I just stop at 8 and then just include the most important scenes? It's important for me to know what you think so we can be on the journey together. So let me know and I'll see you in the comments, see what we can come up with and what the ideas will be. That's my breakdown of episode 5. From potions to broomsticks. Next time we'll face Halloween in Hogwarts and the troll in the dungeon changes everything. So there's going to be our first kind of sight of magical creatures, you could say, in a way. What magical class are you excited to see on screen? Drop a comment below, let me know. I will be on X, formerly Twitter, where you can follow me more for updates and news about the series and episodes. That's at Wondatell. You can follow me there and I'll give you like more updates. You want to see the next episode in the series? Check this playlist. You'll see every episode for this season.